the little boy's hand shoots out and grabs the sleeve of a stranger's jacket. Right there, on the sidewalk, under the amber glow of the street lamps. 7 o'clock in the evening, the sky bruised purple and orange at the edges, and this child, this tiny, wide-eyed boy with dark curly hair and a gap between his 2 front teeth, is holding onto a grown man's jacket like his whole world depends on it. Teo sees it happen from 3 feet away, and his heart stops. Not slows, not stutters, stops. Full and complete, like someone reached inside his chest and made a fist around it, because the man whose sleeve his son just grabbed is not a neighbour, not a teacher, not someone from the community centre down on Aldridge Street. The man standing there on the sidewalk, looking down at little Sam with those sharp, unreadable grey eyes, is Nathan Lancel. And Teo has spent 5 years, 4 months, and 16 days making sure this exact moment never happened. Hi viewers, if you found out the person you've been hiding from just met your child on a random sidewalk, what would you do? Drop your answer in the comments right now because I need to know. Nathan does not move. He just looks down at the boy gripping his sleeve, and something crosses his face that Teo cannot name. It is not annoyance, it is not warmth, it is something in between, something careful and slow, like a man who has just heard a sound he does not recognize and is deciding whether it is dangerous. Sam tips his head back and looks straight up at him. "Can you walk me home?" he asks. Just like that. No fear, no hesitation, like he does this every single day, like he walks up to tall strangers in expensive jackets and asks them for favours, and the world just bends to accommodate him. "I can't find my dad." The word hits Teo like an open hand across the face. Dad. He is standing right there. He is 3 feet away with a paper bag of dinner rolls tucked under one arm and his keys in his other hand. And his son just told a stranger he cannot find his dad, while Teo is standing close enough to reach out and touch them both. His legs will not move. His mouth will not open. 5 years of careful, deliberate, exhausting distance, and it collapses on a Tuesday evening because Sam let go of his hand for 40 seconds outside the bakery door. Nathan crouches down, slowly, like he has all the time in the world. His jacket pulls tight across his shoulders, and he rests one forearm on his knee and looks Sam directly in the eyes. "You lost?" he asks. His voice is low and even, controlled. That same voice Teo remembers from a long time ago, the one that used to fill a room without trying. Sam nods, very serious, very certain. "I was waiting for my dad, but he went inside and I got bored and I walked a little and now I don't know which way." "How far did you walk?" "Not that far." Sam holds up 3 fingers. "Maybe this many steps?" The corner of Nathan's mouth moves. Not quite a smile, something almost like one. "Okay," he says. "Where do you live?" And that is when Teo's legs finally remember what they are for. "Sam." His voice comes out wrong, too tight, too high. He clears his throat and walks forward and puts his hand on Sam's shoulder and pulls him back gently, firmly, the way you move something precious away from the edge of something dangerous. "Sam, I told you to stay by the door." Sam looks up at him completely unbothered. "I did stay by the door. Then I moved a little." "That is not staying by the door. It's close to the door." Teo keeps his eyes on his son. He cannot look up. He knows if he looks up, he will have to look at Nathan, and if he looks at Nathan, then Nathan will look at him, and 5 years of hiding will unravel, right here under the street lamps on Corbin Avenue, with dinner rolls under his arm, and Sam explaining door-adjacent geography. "Thank you," Teo says, to the jacket, to the general area of Nathan's collar. "He does this. I'm sorry he bothered you." Silence, the kind that has weight. Teo. One word. His name. Said in that low, even, controlled voice, and Teo feels it land somewhere at the base of his spine. He looks up. Nathan is standing now, full height, and he is looking at Teo the way you look at something you recognize from a dream, Like the shape is familiar but the context is wrong, and your brain is working very hard to put the two things together. His grey eyes move across Teo's face slowly, taking inventory, filing things away. "I thought that was you," Nathan says. Teo's chest pulls tight. "Nathan, you live around here?" "Yeah." Short, clipped, give nothing. Just down the block. Nathan nods. He looks at Sam again. Sam, who has completely lost interest in the adult conversation and is now crouching down examining something on the sidewalk. Probably a bug, probably a bottle cap, probably anything that is not the thing Teo needs him to be looking at right now. Nathan looks at the boy for a long moment. Too long. The kind of look that is not casual. The kind that is measuring. "He yours?" Nathan asks. The paper bag crinkles under Teo's arm because his grip has tightened without him realizing it. "Yes," he says. Simple, flat, final. Nathan looks back at him. Something shifts in those grey eyes. "How old is he?" And there it is. The question Teo has rehearsed answers to in the mirror at 2 in the morning when he could not sleep. The question he has built walls around for 5 years. The question that, if answered honestly, right here, right now, under these street lamps with Sam 3 feet away counting cracks in the sidewalk, would detonate everything. Teo opens his mouth. Sam stands up, spins around, and looks directly at Nathan with those wide, serious eyes. "I'm 5, he says helpfully. "Me and Micah are both 5. We're twins. Micah's at home because he got a cold. His nose is running a lot." He wrinkles his nose in sympathy. "It's pretty bad." Nathan goes very still. Not the stillness of a man who is calm. The stillness of a man who has just done the math and does not trust the answer he came up with. His eyes move from Sam's face to Teo's face and back to Sam's face, and Teo can see it happening, can see the calculation running behind those grey eyes, can see the moment the number lands. 5 years old. Twins. Teo's whole body is cold. "We should go," Teo says. He puts his hand on Sam's back and steers him toward the building entrance, and he does not look back. He cannot look back. Looking back is how this ends. Looking back is how 5 years of survival folds in on itself. He keeps his eyes forward and his hand on his son's back, and his jaw locked, and he walks. "Teo." He does not stop. "Hey." Nathan's voice is different now. It has an edge. Not angry, something more unsettling than angry. Certain. "We need to talk." Teo pushes through the building door. It swings shut behind them. He stands in the dim hallway with Sam's hand in his, and the dinner rolls still tucked under his arm, and he waits for his heartbeat to come back down to something survivable. The overhead light flickers once. Sam looks up at him with those big eyes, those grey eyes, those eyes that have never once in 5 years let Teo pretend that Nathan Lancel does not exist. "Dad," Sam says, "that man had the same eyes as me." Teo closes his eyes. Outside on the other side of that door, Nathan Lancel is still standing on the sidewalk, and he is not walking away. Teo does not sleep. He lies on his back in the dark at 1:15 in the morning, with the ceiling above him and Sam's soft breathing coming through the monitor on the nightstand, and Micah's occasional snore from across the hall. And he stares at nothing, and waits for his body to stop shaking. It does not stop. He lasted 3 minutes in the hallway before he trusted himself enough to take Sam upstairs, fed them both, gave Micah his cold medicine, sat on the edge of Sam's bed while the boy chattered about the man outside, and his cool jacket, and how he had really nice eyes, and did Dad know him, and was he a friend, and could he come over sometime because Micah would like him too. Teo said yes to get Sam to stop asking, and then sat in the bathroom with the door locked and the shower running, and his back against the cold tile wall until the water ran out. Nathan Lancel is in this neighbourhood, not passing through, not at a work event 3 blocks away that Teo would never have known about. He is here, on Corbin Avenue, close enough that Sam could grab his sleeve, close enough that he could look at Sam's face and do the math, close enough that when Teo walked through that building door, he heard no footsteps walking away. Teo turns onto his side and presses his face into the pillow. 5 years ago he made a choice. It was not a small choice. It was not the kind of choice a person makes quickly or lightly, or without understanding exactly what they are giving up and what they are protecting. He was 22 and scared and newly pregnant and alone, and the man who had turned his whole biology upside down for one night did not know and did not ask, and lived inside a world that had no room for what Teo was carrying. He made the only choice that felt survivable at the time. He moved. He built something. He kept going. He does not regret his sons, not for one single second of one single day. Sam and Micah are the realest things in his life. They are loud and messy and stubborn and full of questions, and Teo would burn the whole world down before he let anything touch them. But Nathan, standing on that sidewalk looking at Sam's face, is not nothing. His phone lights up on the nightstand. Unknown number. Teo's stomach drops. He watches the screen glow in the dark. It rings 4 times. 5. Goes to voicemail. He exhales. It rings again immediately. He picks up. Silence on the other end. Then Nathan's voice, quiet and controlled, the same way it always is. The way that somehow makes it worse. "I'm not going to do anything dramatic," Nathan says. "I just want to talk." "It's 1 in the morning. I know what time it is." "How did you get this number?" "Does it matter?" Teo sits up, pushes the blanket back, puts his feet on the cold floor. The room is dark and quiet, and he can still hear Sam breathing through the monitor, and he keeps his voice very low, very even, very far from what he actually feels. "There's nothing to talk about, Nathan." A pause. Long enough that Teo thinks for one stupid second that Nathan is going to agree and hang up and let this go. "He has my eyes," Nathan says. The room gets smaller. Teo does not answer. Teo. Still quiet. Still controlled. But underneath it, something has shifted. Something that was not there before. Something that sounds almost like a man who has just realized he has been missing something enormous and does not yet know how to hold that. "He has my eyes, and you looked at me like I was something you were afraid of, and you walked away without answering my question. I did the math." "You should go to sleep, Nathan." "How old are they?" "Good night." "If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong." The silence stretches between them like something physical, like a wire pulled too tight. Teo stares at the dark wall and breathes, and does not say the thing that would end this call, and does not say the thing that would confirm it, and the silence itself becomes the answer neither of them can take back. Nathan exhales slowly on the other end of the line. One long breath, the kind a person takes when they have just confirmed something they were not ready to confirm. "I'll come by tomorrow," he says. The call ends. Teo sits on the edge of his bed in the dark, and across the hall, Micah coughs once in his sleep. And somewhere in the building, the elevator hums. And outside on Corbin Avenue, Nathan Lancel now knows something he did not know this morning. And he is coming back. It was a company event, 5 years and 4 months ago. Not a party, not exactly. One of those rooftop gatherings that called itself a mixer and was really just a way for executives to stand in the same room as people they wanted to impress. Teo was there because his supervisor at the catering company assigned him the shift, and the tips were good, and he needed the money for his last semester of school. He was not supposed to meet anyone. He certainly was not supposed to meet Nathan Lancel. Nathan was standing near the east railing when Teo came up with a tray of champagne glasses, and he was alone, which was strange, because every other person on that rooftop was working very hard to be seen. Nathan was just standing there looking at the city, like he was trying to solve it. He took a glass without looking at the tray, and then he did look, and he looked at Teo, and something happened in the air between them that Teo had no framework for and no defense against. He was 22. He had never been in a situation like that. He did not know what his biology was capable of until that night showed him. They talked, longer than they should have. Nathan asked him questions and actually listened to the answers, which was not something Teo was used to from men in expensive suits at rooftop events. By the time the party wound down, Teo knew 3 things. Nathan was an alpha. He was the kind of powerful that did not need to announce itself. And Teo was in serious trouble. What happened after was not planned by either of them. Teo knew that. He was not naive. He understood exactly what one night meant and what it did not mean, especially between a server at a catering company and a CEO who had a driver waiting downstairs. He did not expect a call. He did not expect anything. He packed up his uniform and went home and told himself it was a one-time thing that happened and was over and would not leave a mark. 11 days later, he was in the bathroom of his apartment, holding a test with 2 lines on it, and the floor came up to meet him. He sat on the cold tile for a long time, long enough for the light outside the small window to shift from grey to gold. He thought about calling. He thought about showing up. He thought about what it would mean to walk into Nathan Lancell's world with this information and ask for something he had no right to ask for from a man who owed him nothing. He thought about what it would mean for a child. 2 children, as it turned out 3 weeks later, when the ultrasound showed him 2 heartbeats, 2 shadows, 2 lives that were now entirely his responsibility. He made his choice. He called his aunt in another city and asked if he could stay for a while. He finished his degree online. He found the bakery space 2 years later, and he built something real and steady and his own. Sam and Micah grew up knowing they were loved completely, knowing their father would always be there, knowing they were enough. Teo told himself it was enough too. Standing in his kitchen at 6:15 in the morning, while the coffee brews and Sam sits at the table, drawing something with extreme concentration, and Micah is on the couch with a blanket over his head because his nose is still running, Teo thinks about Nathan's voice on the phone last night. Quiet. Controlled. I'll come by tomorrow. Today, he realizes. Nathan means today. Sam looks up from his drawing. Dad, can I have hot chocolate? You can have orange juice. That's not what I asked. I know. Sam considers this, looks back down at his drawing. Teo pours the coffee and stands at the counter and stares at the door and waits for something to happen that he has no idea how to survive. Nathan comes at 9. Teo hears the knock and stands in the kitchen for 3 full seconds not moving before Sam launches himself off the couch and runs to the door screaming, "I'll get it!" like it is a race he has been training for. Teo crosses the apartment in 4 long strides and gets his hand on the door handle before Sam can, and looks down at his son with an expression that communicates very clearly that this is a grown-up moment. Sam crosses his arms, steps back, does not go far. Teo opens the door. Nathan is in a different jacket today, dark grey, no tie. He looks like he did not sleep either, which is the only thing they apparently have in common this morning, and he is holding 2 coffee cups from the place on the corner, which is either a gesture or a strategy, and Teo is not in a place to figure out which. They look at each other. "You brought coffee," Teo says. He is aware of how stupid that sounds the moment it leaves his mouth. "You work in a bakery. I figured you'd already made some." Nathan glances down. Sam has repositioned himself slightly to the left and is staring up at Nathan with his full face, completely unguarded, the way 5-year-olds look at things they find interesting. "Hey," Nathan says to him. Quiet. "Hey," Sam says back. Teo steps into the doorway so it is harder to see past him. "Sam, go check on Micah." "Micah's sleeping." "Then sit with him." "But, Sam." Sam goes. He goes slowly and with maximum visible reluctance, and he looks back twice, but he goes. Teo exhales through his nose and looks back at Nathan. "You can't come in," Teo says. Nathan does not react to that. He looks at Teo steadily, the same way he did on the sidewalk last night. That careful, measuring look that Teo remembers being flattered by once, and now understands is just how Nathan processes things he does not yet fully understand. "I'm not here to cause problems," he says. "Then what are you here for?" "I want to know if they're mine." The word mine lands badly. Teo can feel it in his back teeth. "They are not things." I know that. A pause. I want to know if I'm their father. The hallway is quiet. Somewhere down the hall, the neighbour's television is on. The elevator hums again. Tio looks at Nathan's face and thinks about 5 years and 2 heartbeats on an ultrasound screen, and the cold bathroom tile, and every single decision he made that got them to this doorway at 9 in the morning with coffee cups and a question that only has one honest answer. Why does it matter? Tio asks. Nathan's jaw tightens, just slightly. What? You didn't know. They didn't know. We built a life. It's a good life. Why does it need to change? Because they exist. Nathan's voice is still controlled, but something underneath it has gone very tight. Because I have been walking around for 5 years not knowing I had children, and that is not nothing, Tio. That is not something I can just let go. You didn't want. You don't know what I wanted. The control slips. Just for a second. Just enough. You never asked me. The silence after that is not comfortable. It is not the silence of 2 people who have nothing to say. It is the silence of 2 people who have too much. From inside the apartment, Sam's voice floats out with perfect timing. Dad, Micah's asking who's at the door. Tio closes his eyes for one moment. Just one. When he opens them, Nathan is still there, and he is still looking, and he is not going anywhere, and he is holding 2 coffee cups and waiting for an answer to a question that Tio has no version of this going well enough to give. Come back tonight, Tio says, after they're in bed. Nathan nods once. He holds out one of the coffee cups. Tio takes it because refusing it would require more energy than he has right now. Nathan leaves. Tio stands in the doorway with the coffee cup warm in his hand, and he hears Sam's footsteps running back toward him. And he has approximately 6 hours to figure out what he is going to say tonight to a man who just said, "You never asked me," and was not wrong. Behind him, Sam appears at his elbow and looks out at the empty hallway. Where'd the man go? He left. Is he coming back? Tio takes a long sip of the coffee. It is exactly how he takes it. 2 sugars, a little cream. He did not tell Nathan that. He has not spoken to Nathan in over 5 years. There is no reasonable explanation for why Nathan would know that unless he remembered. Unless he paid attention to something that small, that long ago, and kept it. Yeah, Tio says quietly. He's coming back. Sam tilts his head, squints up at him the way he does when he is thinking hard about something. He's got the same eyes as me and Micah, he says. Like he is presenting evidence. Like he has been sitting on this observation, and has decided now is the time to bring it forward. Tio says nothing. Sam looks up at him a moment longer, then turns and runs back inside, already calling for Micah, already moving on to the next thing the way 5-year-olds do, as if he did not just drop something that lands in Tio's chest like a stone in still water. Nathan comes back at 8:47. Sam and Micah are in bed. Micah is still sniffly, but his fever broke around 6, and he fell asleep on Tio's shoulder during the second reading of a book about frogs, and Sam, who claimed he was not tired, crashed face first into his pillow at 8:30, while still insisting he was completely awake. Tio tucked them both in, stood in the doorway of their room for a moment, looking at the 2 of them, their dark curly heads on their pillows, and their matching striped pyjamas, and felt something open up in his chest that had no name and no clean edges. Then Nathan knocked. Tio opens the door and steps back to let him in without a word, because words require a starting point, and he does not have one right now. Nathan comes in and looks around the apartment quietly, not like someone inspecting it, more like someone taking in a place that belongs to a version of a story they were never told. The drawings on the refrigerator, the 2 small pairs of shoes by the door, the framed photo on the bookshelf of Sam and Micah at the beach, both of them laughing, sand on their faces, Teo's hand visible at the edge of the frame. Nathan stops at that photo, looks at it for a moment, does not touch it. Teo sits on the arm of the couch and watches him and waits. Nathan turns around. Tell me, he says, not a demand, not quite a request, somewhere in between. The voice of a man who has spent the last 24 hours running numbers in his head, and has arrived at an answer he needs someone else to confirm out loud because he does not fully trust himself to hold it alone. Teo looks at him, at the careful face and the grey eyes and the jacket, and the way he is standing slightly turned toward the hallway where his sons are sleeping without knowing they are his sons. And Teo thinks about the bathroom floor, about the ultrasound, about the choice, about all the years of building something solid and the terror of watching it become unstable in less than 48 hours. Yes, Teo says, they're yours. Nathan does not move. He does not exhale loudly or sit down or put his face in his hands. He just stands there and absorbs it, and Teo watches it move through him the way weather moves across open water, slow and total, and changing everything it touches. 5 years, Nathan says finally. Yes. You knew and you didn't tell me. Yes. Why? Not a question. The word lands flat and hard and honest, and Teo has been waiting for it since the sidewalk, has been rehearsing some version of an answer since 1 in the morning, and now that it is here in the room with him, every prepared word he had dissolves. Because I was 22 and scared and you were... He stops, starts again. You had a whole life. I didn't think... You didn't think I'd want to know. I didn't think I had the right to ask. The room holds that. Nathan turns away, walks to the window, stands with his back to Teo and looks out at Corbin Avenue and the street lamps, and the same sidewalk where Sam grabbed his sleeve less than 30 hours ago. His hands are at his sides, still, controlled, but Teo can see the tension in his shoulders, the precise, held-together quality of a man who is carrying something new and enormous and does not yet know where to put it down. I would have wanted to know, Nathan says, quiet, to the window. Teo does not answer because there is nothing to say to that. It is true, and it is also 5 years too late, and both of those things exist at the same time, and neither one cancels the other out. Their names, Nathan says. Samuel. Micah. A pause. Who's the one I met? Sam. He's the one who'll talk to anyone. Micah is quieter. He thinks before he speaks. Nathan is quiet for a moment. Which one has the cold? Teo blinks. Micah. Is he okay? The question, that specific question, delivered to a window on Corbin Avenue by a man who did not know he had sons yesterday morning, does something to the inside of Teo's chest that he is completely unprepared for. He presses his hand flat against the arm of the couch and breathes. He's fine, Teo says. Fever broke tonight. Nathan nods. He turns around. He looks at Teo with those grey eyes that Sam has been carrying on his face for 5 years, and Teo has been trying not to look directly at for just as long. And what is in them is not anger. Not anymore. It is something harder to navigate than anger. It is grief and certainty, and the beginning of something that has no name yet, and no edges, and no clear direction. I want to meet them, Nathan says. Properly. Teo's hands tighten on the couch arm. Nathan, not tonight, not like this. He is already pulling on control again, wrapping it back around himself the way he does, the way he always did. But I need you to hear me, Teo. I'm not going anywhere. Not now. Not after this. His voice is steady, but underneath it something is pulling tight. Something close to breaking. Something that has been building since a sidewalk and a little boy who said, "Can you walk me home?" and looked up with grey eyes that were not a coincidence. They're my sons. Whatever happened between us, whatever you decided, that is still true. And I need you to understand that I am not walking away from it. Teo stares at him. Nathan holds his gaze and does not look away, and does not soften it, and does not take it back. From the hallway, so quiet it is almost nothing, a small sound. They both turn. Sam is standing in the hallway in his striped pyjamas, with his hair pushed sideways from the pillow, squinting against the light. He is not looking at Teo. He is looking at Nathan. He rubs his eye with the back of his fist, and then he points, very seriously, at Nathan. Are you the man from outside? Sam asks. Nathan crouches down, right there in the living room, same as he did on the sidewalk, slow and steady and at eye level. Yeah, he says, I am. Sam stares at him, then at Teo, then back at Nathan. His 5-year-old brain is working on something. Teo can see it happening. Sam does not speak until he has sorted the thing he is working on, which is a quality Micah shares too, and watching it happen in real time while Nathan crouches 3 feet from his son is the most terrifying and devastating thing Teo has experienced in years. Sam points at Nathan's eyes, then at his own. We match, he says simply. Nathan looks at the boy for a long moment. His throat moves. Yeah, he says, very quiet. We do. Sam considers this, nods once, like a verdict. Then he turns and pads back down the hallway to his room, completely unbothered, already done with the conversation, fully satisfied with the information he came out here to confirm. The hallway is empty again. Nathan stands up slowly. He does not look at Teo right away. He looks at the hallway for a moment, at the empty space where Sam just was, and something moves across his face that Teo has never seen on him before. Something unguarded and raw and quietly broken open. When he finally looks at Teo, everything is different. Tomorrow, Nathan says. I'll come tomorrow. He leaves. Teo stands in the middle of his living room in the silence after the door closes, and he knows, with the kind of certainty that settles into your bones and does not leave, that the life he has been building is not over, but it is never going to look the same again. Nathan is already in the hallway when Teo opens the door, not knocking, not waiting politely with coffee, standing there with his hands in his pockets and his jaw set, and the kind of stillness that means a man has been rehearsing something in his head for the last 18 hours and has arrived ready to say it whether Teo is prepared to hear it or not. Teo steps back. Nathan walks in. No greeting, no coffee this time. He goes straight to the living room and stands in the middle of it, and turns around, and Teo closes the door, and they look at each other across the space of everything that has not been said yet, and everything that has, and somehow the apartment feels smaller than it did yesterday. Where are they? Nathan asks. School. Teo crosses his arms. Half day. They'll be back at noon. Nathan nods. He looks at the refrigerator, at the drawings. Sam's are wild and colourful and sprawling, full of shapes that could be animals or rockets or both. Micah's are careful and precise, small detailed things in the corners of the paper, like he is not sure how much space he is allowed to take up. Nathan looks at them for a moment too long, and Teo watches him do it and feels something pull dangerously in his chest. I called my attorney last night, Nathan says, still looking at the refrigerator. Every muscle in Teo's body locks. Not for what you're thinking, Nathan says immediately. He turns around. I needed to understand what my options were, what the right steps are. I'm not coming in here to take anything from you. Then what are you coming in here for? To be honest with you. He says it simply. No build-up, no softening, just the words, clean and direct. I spent last night thinking about what you said, that you were 22 and scared, that you didn't think you had the right to ask. He pauses. I've been trying to be angry at you for 5 years of not knowing, and I can't get there, Teo. I keep getting somewhere else. Teo waits. I keep landing on the fact that I didn't make it easy to be known. Nathan's voice is still controlled, but there is something underneath it now that was not there the first night. Something that is working its way up through the surface, whether he wants it to or not. I was 29 and running a company, and I operated like my personal life was a separate country no one had access to. You met me at a rooftop event where I was standing alone at the railing because I didn't want to talk to anyone. You were 22. You made a calculation about what I would do, and I can't honestly tell you the calculation was wrong. The room is very quiet. That doesn't mean it didn't cost me something, Nathan continues. Because it did. 5 years, Teo. Sam and Micah's whole lives. I missed all of it. The first words and the first steps, and whatever Micah's laugh sounds like, and whatever Sam does when he wakes up in the morning. His voice tightens, just slightly, just enough. That is gone. I don't get that back. and I'm not going to pretend that doesn't matter, because it would be dishonest, and I think you've had enough of that from this situation. Teo uncrosses his arms. He does not know what to do with his hands, so he puts them flat on the back of the couch and looks at the floor for a moment, and then looks back up. I didn't know if you'd want them, Teo says. Quiet. Honest. The realist version of it. Not abstractly. I knew you might step up if forced to, but I didn't know if you'd want them the way they needed to be wanted. Fully. Without conditions. And I couldn't gamble their lives on that. Nathan looks at him. I know that, he says. I know that's what you were protecting. A long pause. I'm asking you to let me show you that the gamble wouldn't have been a bad one. Teo stares at him, at the steady grey eyes and the carefully held posture, and the man who looked at a photo of two boys at the beach last night, like he was looking at something he did not know he had lost until he saw it. That's a big ask, Teo says. I know. You don't get to come in and out of their lives, Nathan. That is the one thing I will not allow. If you start this, you stay in it. All the way. Bad days and sick nights and parent-teacher meetings and the moments that are not beautiful at all. You don't get to show up when it feels good and disappear when it gets hard. I understand. I need you to mean that. I know you do. He does not look away. I mean it. The front door opens. They both turn. Sam bursts in like a weather event, backpack half off one shoulder, talking before he is fully through the door about something that happened at school involving a red crayon and someone named Deshawn, who apparently committed some significant injustice during art class. Micah comes in behind him, quieter, still slightly pink-nosed, and he stops when he sees Nathan standing in the living room. Sam stops talking mid-sentence. Both boys look at Nathan. Nathan looks at them. Nobody moves for 3 full seconds, and then Sam drops his backpack on the floor with a crash that nobody reacts to, and points at Nathan with the energy of someone who has just solved a puzzle they have been working on. You came back, he says. I did, Nathan says. Sam looks at Teo. You said he was coming back. I did. Sam accepts this, looks back at Nathan. This is Micah, he says, gesturing at his brother with the confidence of someone who has never once doubted his own authority to introduce people. He doesn't talk a lot at first, but then he does. He's really smart. He can already read chapter books. Micah looks at Nathan with careful, measured eyes, not Sam's wide-open curiosity, something quieter and older than his age. He looks at Nathan's face the same way Teo has seen him look at something new that he is not sure about yet, taking his time, collecting information before he decides what to do with it. Then Micah says, in his small, precise voice, You were outside the other night. Yeah, Nathan says. He is crouched down again, eye level. I was. Sam said you have the same eyes as us. He told me that too. Micah tilts his head slightly. How come? The question lands in the room like something dropped from a very great height. Teo's hands grip the back of the couch. Nathan holds Micah's gaze and does not look away, and does not answer immediately, and does not pretend the question is smaller than it is. That's something your dad and I need to talk about together, Nathan says carefully. With you, when it's the right time. Micah looks at Teo. Teo nods, just slightly, just enough. Micah looks back at Nathan, and something in his small face settles, not fully, not with trust yet, but with the beginning of patience. Okay, Micah says. Sam has already moved on to asking if Nathan wants to see his drawings. 3 days later, Nathan sits on the floor of the living room, with Sam's drawings spread out around him like a small, colourful explosion, and Micah on his left reading quietly from his chapter book, and the television on low in the background, and Teo stands in the kitchen doorway watching it, and does not know what to do with what he feels. It should not look this normal. That is the thing. It should look strange and uncomfortable and forced, because it is new, and because the situation is objectively complicated, and because nothing about this was planned. But Sam is narrating each drawing with the intensity of a documentary filmmaker, and Nathan is listening with complete attention and asking questions that make Sam's whole face light up, and Micah, who does not warm to people quickly or easily, has shifted 3 inches closer to Nathan in the last 20 minutes without appearing to notice he is doing it. Teo goes back to the kitchen and grips the edge of the counter and breathes. His phone buzzes. His cousin Raylin, who knows everything because Teo called her at 2 in the morning 2 nights ago, has sent a message that says simply, "How's it going?" He stares at it, types back, "I don't know." She replies, "That's not a no." He puts the phone face down. Dinner is quiet in the way that full rooms can be quiet. Sam eats with one hand and gestures with the other, still talking, covering everything from the Dishorn crayon incident to a detailed explanation of why frogs are better than lizards, to a question directed at Nathan about whether he has ever seen a real shark. Nathan says he has. Sam's jaw drops. Micah looks up from his plate. Even Micah cannot let that go unreacted to. "Where?" Sam demands. "On a dive trip, off the coast." "Were you scared?" Nathan considers this. "A little, but it was also the most incredible thing I've ever seen." Sam turns to Teo with an expression that clearly communicates that they need to go see sharks immediately, and this is now a family priority. Teo tells him to finish his vegetables. Sam dramatically finishes his vegetables. After the boys are in bed, Nathan helps clear the table without being asked. They work around each other in the kitchen, in a silence that is not comfortable exactly, but is not hostile either. It is the silence of two people who have a lot of history and a lot of present, and are figuring out how to hold both at the same time, without dropping something. "Micah moved closer to you tonight," Teo says. "On the floor. He probably didn't realise." Nathan is quiet for a moment. "I noticed. He doesn't do that with people he doesn't trust. I know I haven't earned it yet." "You're earning it," Teo says, and then he stops, because he did not plan to say that out loud, and it is more than he intended to give right now, and Nathan goes still at the sink for just a second, before he keeps moving, and neither of them addresses it directly, but it is in the room now, and they both know it. Nathan dries his hands and leans against the counter and looks at Teo across the kitchen. "I want to tell them," he says. "Not right now, not this week, but soon. I don't want to keep sitting with them and having them look at me the way Micah looks at me and not know why." Teo leans against the opposite counter. "What do you want to tell them?" "The truth. A version of it that's theirs." He pauses. "That I'm their father. That I didn't know until now. That I'm here now, and I'm staying." Teo looks at him, at the steady, careful face and the grey eyes that his sons are going to grow up with on their own faces, and look in mirrors and know exactly where they came from. He thinks about Sam pointing at Nathan's eyes on the sidewalk. He thinks about Micah saying "how come" in that small, precise voice. He thinks about two boys in striped pyjamas who deserve to know the whole true shape of where they belong. "Okay," Teo says. Nathan exhales. One slow breath. Like something he has been holding for days just got put down. "I owe you something," Teo says. He does not look away. "I owe you an honest apology. Not for the choice I made, because I made it to protect them and I'd make it again under the same circumstances, but for the 5 years. For the fact that you didn't know your own sons. That one I carry." His voice holds steady because he has been practicing this. Practicing being honest in a way that does not make him collapse. "I'm sorry for that part, Nathan. I mean it." Nathan looks at him for a long moment. "I know you do," he says quietly. They stay in the kitchen a while longer, not talking, just existing in the same space. And outside on Corbin Avenue, the street lamps are on, and the night is ordinary. And inside this apartment, something that was broken a long time ago is not fixed yet, but is being held carefully by two people who are finally, after 5 years, in the same room at the same time. Sunday morning comes in loud. Sam is up before 7, which is a thing that happens without fail regardless of what time he went to sleep, and he comes into Teo's room and stands at the edge of the bed and announces that he is hungry, and also that he has been thinking, and he has questions. Teo opens one eye. "How many questions?" "A lot," Sam says seriously. Teo sits up. He makes breakfast, eggs and toast and orange juice, and Sam sits at the table and Micah comes in 10 minutes later. hair still flat on one side, and sits down without speaking, because Micah requires approximately 15 minutes of silence after waking before he is ready for the world, which is a quality Teo respects deeply and Sam has never once understood. Nathan arrives at 10 with a bag from the good bakery 3 blocks over, the one Teo is always meant to check out but has not had time to, and Sam opens the door before Teo can get there and immediately informs Nathan that he has questions, and Nathan says, "Okay, what are they?" And Sam says he will ask them after he sees what is in the bag. They sit around the table, all 4 of them, which is a thing that has somehow become a natural arrangement in the space of 1 week, and Sam works through his questions between bites of a chocolate croissant. Most of them are about sharks. One of them is about whether Nathan knows how to play video games. One of them, delivered without any particular weight or ceremony, as if it is just another item on the list, is this: "Are you our dad?" The table goes quiet. Micah stops eating. He does not look up right away. He looks at his plate, and then slowly, carefully, he looks at Nathan. Nathan puts down his coffee cup. He looks at Sam, who is watching him with open, honest eyes, and then at Micah, who is watching him with that careful, weighing gaze, and then he looks at Teo. One beat. One look that carries something too complicated and too real for a Sunday morning, and too necessary to put off for a more convenient time. Teo nods. Nathan looks back at his sons. "Yeah," he says, "I am." Sam sits with that for approximately 4 seconds, and then asks if that means Nathan is going to be around more. Nathan says yes. Sam says, "Okay," and takes another bite of his croissant. Just like that. With the extraordinary resilience of a child who has been loved securely enough that new information does not break him, but simply gets added to the structure of what he knows. Micah does not say anything. He looks at Nathan for a long moment, and then he looks at Teo, and something in his small face is working through something big, and Teo reaches over and puts his hand over Micah's hand on the table, just rests it there, warm and steady, not pressing, just present. Micah turns his hand over and holds on. They sit like that for a while. All 4 of them at the table on a Sunday morning with chocolate croissants and orange juice, and a truth that has finally been said out loud in the right room, to the right people, in the right way. Later, after Nathan leaves and the boys are in the living room, and the apartment is settling into its afternoon quiet, Teo stands at the kitchen window and looks out at Corbin Avenue, and thinks about the version of himself at 22 on a bathroom floor, making a choice that felt like survival. He thinks about everything that choice grew into. 2 boys who are healthy and funny and full of themselves in the best possible way. A bakery that is his. A life that is real and solid and his own. He thinks about Nathan sitting at his table, saying, "Yeah, I am," with no hesitation and no conditions and no performance. Just the plain truth, offered directly to 2 boys who needed to hear it. His phone buzzes. Raylin again. She has sent 1 word. "Well?" Teo looks at the street outside, at the spot on the sidewalk under the lamp where Sam grabbed a stranger's sleeve 8 days ago, and the whole shape of everything changed. He types back, "It's going to be okay." She sends back 3 exclamation points and a string of emojis he does not fully interpret. He smiles, puts the phone down, goes back to his boys. Nathan comes to the door on a Wednesday evening, and he is not composed. Teo sees it immediately. The jacket is slightly off, like he put it on in a hurry, and his jaw is tight in a way that is different from his usual controlled tight. This is the jaw of a man who has received news and driven across the city with it sitting in his chest, and has not yet found a way to set it down. Teo steps back. "What happened?" Nathan comes in. He does not sit. He stands in the living room and runs one hand across the back of his neck and looks at Teo and says, "My board found out." Teo goes still. "Found out what?" "About Sam and Micah." He exhales hard. "Someone on my building staff talked to someone. I don't know the full chain yet. But my board chairman called me 2 hours ago. He's not happy." Nathan's voice is controlled, but there is something cracking underneath it, something exhausted. "There are people in my company who are going to use this. The optics. An alpha CEO with 5-year-old twins he didn't know about. They're going to try to use it against me. Nathan, I'm not telling you this so you feel responsible. He looks at her directly. I'm telling you because I need you to know it's coming. Reporters, probably someone reaching out to you. I'm going to handle it, but I need you to be prepared. Teo sits down on the arm of the couch because his legs have made the decision before his brain did. He looks at the floor, thinks about the bakery, about the regulars who come in every morning, and the neighbours who know him, and Sam and Micah by name, and the quiet, ordinary life he built brick by brick for 5 years. Thinks about cameras, about questions, about his boys being a headline. Sam and Micah don't become a story, Teo says. His voice is flat and absolute. Whatever happens with your board, whatever gets out, they don't become a story. Agreed. I'm already working on it. I need more than already working on it, Nathan. I know. He crouches down to Teo's eye level, which is a thing Teo has watched him do with his sons every single visit, going down to where the other person is instead of making them come up. And it lands differently when it is directed at Teo, when it is Nathan's grey eyes level with his and that focused, steady attention turned fully on him. I am not going to let anything touch them. That is the one thing I will not bend on, regardless of what it costs me. Teo looks at him. The thing about Nathan, the thing Teo has been quietly recalibrating all week, is that he does what he says. No excess, no performance. He said he would come back, and he came back. He said he would be honest, and he has been honest. He said he meant it, and every day since has been evidence that he did. Teo has been watching for the crack, for the moment the effort becomes visible, for the seam where the real thing stops and the managed version begins. He has not found it. Okay, Teo says. Nathan holds his gaze. I'm also talking to my attorney about formal recognition, making it legal. Their names, their rights, everything. I want them protected regardless of what happens with the board or anything else. Teo is quiet for a moment. That's a big step. It's the right step. They don't know what any of that means yet. They will when it matters. He pauses. I want them to have my name if they want it. When they're old enough to choose, not forced, their choice. The apartment is quiet. Through the hallway, the low sound of Sam talking to himself in his room, which he does constantly. Full conversations with toys and drawings and the general air around him. Micah will be reading. He is always reading at this hour. These ordinary sounds, the sounds of Teo's entire world, and Nathan here in the middle of them, becoming part of the architecture of the place, without forcing it, without demanding it, just showing up and staying and letting time do what time does. Okay, Teo says again, and then, because it is true, and because he has decided that the honest version of himself is the only one that survives this, I'm glad you came back that first night. I'm glad you didn't walk away from it. Nathan looks at him, really looks. I wasn't going to walk away from it, he says simply. Not once I knew. Sam's door opens and he comes thundering down the hall. He stops when he sees Nathan and his face does the thing it does every single time, that open, uncomplicated joy. Like Nathan being in this apartment is already just the way things are. You're here for dinner? Sam asks. Nathan looks at Teo. Teo looks back at him. Yeah, he says. He's here for dinner. Sam throws both arms up and runs back to his room to inform Micah, and Nathan stands up from his crouch and he is close now, closer than the usual careful distance they have been keeping, and Teo does not step back, and Nathan does not step back, and for one moment they are just two people standing in an apartment on Corbin Avenue, with a life that got complicated and then got real, and then, slowly, became something worth standing inside. The moment passes. They both move toward the kitchen, but it stays. In the room, in the space between them. Quiet and certain, the way things are when they are finally true. 6 weeks later, on a Saturday afternoon, Nathan teaches Sam how to throw a spiral in the park 2 blocks from the apartment. Sam catches it on the fourth try and immediately spins around looking for Teo on the bench and yells, "Dad, did you see that?" with the full force of his lungs, and three other families nearby all look over, and Teo raises his hand and says, "Yes, I saw," and Sam turns back around, completely satisfied, and demands Nathan throw it again. Micah is on the bench next to Teo with a book. He has been reading the same page for 11 minutes. Teo knows this because he has been watching. Micah is not reading. He is watching Nathan and Sam from behind the book, tracking every throw, every catch, every time Nathan says, "Good, try again," with that patient, steady voice. "You can go out there," Teo says quietly. Micah turns one page. "I'm reading." "Micah?" A pause. Micah closes the book. He puts it on the bench next to Teo, very neatly, spine up, the way he always puts books down, and he stands and walks out to where Sam and Nathan are, with his hands in his pockets and his chin slightly down. And Sam sees him coming and immediately starts narrating Micah's arrival like a sportscaster, which is a thing Sam does constantly and which Micah endures with the patience of someone who has been enduring it for 5 years. Nathan crouches down when Micah reaches them. He hands him the ball, says something Teo cannot hear from the bench. Micah looks at the ball in his hands for a moment, then looks up at Nathan, then he nods. He pulls his arm back and throws. It goes wide, very wide, into the grass several yards to the left. Sam chases it. Nathan says something else. Micah listens. He tries again. Better. Sam, returning with the ball, gives his brother a detailed evaluation of the throw that is both completely unsolicited and surprisingly accurate. Micah absorbs it without comment. Nathan stands back and lets them go back and forth, and he watches the two of them together with an expression that Teo has started to learn. The one that is not quite composed, the one that is full, the one that means he is taking something in and understanding what it cost him to almost miss it. Teo leans back on the bench and tilts his face up toward the sky. It is a good day. Warm and clear, the kind of afternoon that does not ask anything from you, just offers itself. He thinks about 8 weeks ago, about a sidewalk and a sleeve and a little boy who walked up to a stranger and asked, "Can you walk me home?" Like the world was a safe place that would arrange itself for him. He thinks about the bathroom floor at 22, about the choice, about every morning he got up and made breakfast and opened the bakery and came home to his boys and did it all without anyone knowing how tired he was sometimes or how much he was carrying. He thinks about Nathan at the kitchen sink drying his hands, Nathan on the floor surrounded by Sam's drawings, Nathan crouching down, always crouching down, going to eye level, making himself reachable. He thinks about, "Yeah, I am," delivered without hesitation to 2 boys who needed to hear it. Nathan walks over and sits on the bench next to Teo. They both watch Sam and Micah in the grass, now apparently engaged in some form of competition that has its own rules neither of them have explained to any adult. Micah smiled, Nathan says. "I know, I saw." "3rd week in a row." Teo side-eyes him. "You're keeping count?" "I notice things." A pause. "He has your smile. The exact same one." Teo looks back at the boys. He does not say anything because there is a sudden tightness in his throat that surprises him, and he needs a moment. Nathan lets him have it. He does not fill the silence or move to manage it. He just sits there, steady and present, the way he has been every single day for 6 weeks. "It's not going to be simple," Teo says when he can. "Any of this. The legal stuff, the board situation, figuring out what we are to each other, all of it. It's a long road." "Yeah," Nathan says. "It is." "You're okay with that?" "I'm not going anywhere, Teo." Teo looks at him, at the profile of a man who showed up and kept showing up, and did not make it dramatic or conditional or about himself, who crouched down in a living room to be at eye level with a 5-year-old, and then did it again and again until the 5-year-old started closing the distance on his own. At the man whose grey eyes are going to look back at Teo from his sons' faces for the rest of their lives. "No," Teo says. "I don't think you are." Across the grass, Sam catches the ball, trips over his own feet, rolls once, and immediately pops back up with both arms raised like he has won something. Micah watches him with the expression of someone who has spent 5 years as Sam's brother and has developed both bottomless love and iron patience because of it. Nathan laughs. It is real and unguarded and warm, the first truly unguarded thing Teo has heard from him, and it changes his whole face. And Teo looks at that face and lets himself feel what he has been carefully not fully feeling for 6 weeks. Not a plan, not a decision, just something true, sitting quietly in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. Sam runs over, slightly grass-stained, out of breath, and looks at both of them on the bench. He points between them. "Are you guys talking about us?" "Yes," Nathan says. "Good things?" "Only good things." Sam processes this and decides it is acceptable. He turns around and runs back. Micah, who has been watching from 10 feet away, meets Teo's eyes across the grass, holds them for a moment. Then he does it. The smile. Small and careful and exactly like Teo's. He turns back to his brother. Teo breathes out slowly. This is not the end of complicated. There is still the board, still the attorneys, still the 100 conversations they have not had yet, still the long work of building something real between 4 people where there was nothing before. It will not be fast. It will not be easy. There will be days that test all of it. But Sam is laughing in the grass on a Saturday, and Micah is smiling, and Nathan is on this bench, here, steady, not going anywhere. And Teo, for the first time in 5 years, is not carrying it alone. That is not a small thing. That is everything. If this story moved you, if you felt every moment of what Teo carried and what Nathan finally found, then you are exactly who this channel was built for. Subscribe right now and turn on your notifications so you do not miss a single story we drop, because every one of them is built to hit this deep. Share this with someone who needs to hear a story about second chances and love that shows up even when it is late. And drop your thoughts in the comments below. What moment got you the most? Was it Sam on that sidewalk? Micah's smile? Nathan saying, "Yeah, I am"? Tell us. Your words inspire the next person who finds this channel. We will see you in the next one.